Hi, Professor Wainaina here, your 5 minutes teacher on education, childhood and youth, and all things school. Welcome. In my previous lesson, I noted that the integration or the disintegration rather of the patriarchal order has triggered a multifaceted crisis, notably affecting boys and young men. Historically, patriarchal systems prescribed clear, although rigid, roles for both sexes, men as providers and protectors, women as nurturers and homemakers. As these structures have eroded, we have witnessed substantial progress in gender equality, particularly in opportunities for girls and women. However, this transformation has inadvertently left boys in a liminal space, struggling to reconcile the traditional masculine ideals with a rapidly evolving societal landscape. This phenomenon, often termed as the boy-child crisis, arguably stems not from an intrinsic flaw in the boys themselves, but from a profound failure of our collective imagination. The old patriarchal framework, for all its flaws, provided boys with a defined, if confining, roadmap. As societies move towards gender parity, there has been a commendable push to empower girls through education, professional opportunities, and social freedoms. These efforts have been underpinned by a dynamic reimagining, I emphasize reimagining, of female roles. Conversely, there is no corresponding effort to transform the male roles, and we are stuck in an unhelpful attachment to outdated ideals of masculinity. I therefore am of the strong opinion that the resultant boy-child crisis is not merely a social oversight, but a crisis of imagination. We have failed to envision and articulate a new, meaningful role for boys in a post-patriarchal world. This failure manifests in several ways. Educationally, in some instances, boys lag behind in girls in academic achievement, in literacy rates, and in graduation rates. And socially, boys grapple with conflicting messages about masculinity, often resorting to aggression, detachment, or apathy as coping mechanisms. These outcomes suggest that while society has successfully expanded the narrative for girls, it has failed to provide an equally compelling narrative for boys. The archetype of the strong, stoic male provider no longer fits the contemporary context. Yet society clings to this obsolete structure, leaving boys lost. The repercussions of this crisis are evident. Mental health issues among boys and young men are rising with alarming rates of depression, anxiety, and even suicide. The lack of a reimagined role leads to an identity vacuum where traditional masculine traits such as emotional stoicism and physical dominance are not only outdated but detrimental. Without alternative frameworks, boys find themselves ill-equipped to navigate the complexities of modern life, contributing to a cycle of disengagement and disenfranchisement. Reimagining the role of boys requires more than superficial adjustments. It demands a fundamental shift in how we perceive masculinity and male success. This begins with education systems that cater to the diverse needs of boys, recognizing different learning styles, and fostering environments where boys can thrive without conforming to stereotypical expectations. It also involves promoting emotional intelligence, empathy, and communication skills, which have traditionally been undervalued in boys but are crucial for personal and professional success. in the 21st century. But more importantly, cultural narratives need to evolve. These are the hardest to change, and in our situation, the ones most affected by the crisis of imagination. The worst of this is our media. Suffering an intelligence crisis of its own, our media is incapable of imagining anything new or driving a transformational agenda. The same goes for our educational system and the so-called civil society. As a result, the gender debate has become a Tower of Babel at best, and in fact, a playground for charlatans and religious zealots with nothing to offer our boys. It is therefore clear to any casual observer that the boy-child crisis is indeed a crisis of imagination. As the patriarchal order collapses, we must not cling to its vestiges, but instead boldly envision a new paradigm. But this entails expanding our collective imagination and creating new narratives and structures for boys so that we can guide them towards fulfilling equitable and emotionally rich lives. Only then can we truly address the crisis at its root and build a society where both boys and girls can thrive, free from the constraints of outdated gender norms. Thanks for your time, and see you in my next lesson.